That's nice. It's always good to have the resident in chief here to handle that. Golly. Now, before we get into that, I just want to point out that yesterday I said Mac is like our sports conspiracy theorist. He knows the sports news 6 months before it happens. And I think when you were on with the Amigos, you called it that Gerard Mayo would be the new coach of the New England Patriots.
I did in fact say that. Everyone was going, Vrabel. I was like, yeah, I think.
I didn't believe you.
Yeah.
I didn't believe you.
I know you're like, Mayo. I know a lot of people looked at me like I was crazy, but it happened.
Yep. So now you know how I feel these past few years. Everybody in the room looks at me like I'm crazy, and then it happens. And then quickly, this is what happens. Quickly, once you've been proven right, everybody's going to forget about that you even
that
called
I
it.
did that. Yeah.
And they're going to be like, no, you didn't.
No, you didn't.
You didn't call that.
And also, we knew he was going to be there.
Everybody knew that was going to happen. Jason is asking if you can verify that rain is wet on the super text line, Mac, 615-737-9986. So Mac does have a great podcast that you should listen to over the weekend, not during 9 to 12.
During 9 to noon, no.
That is blocked off, and the only one that gets a pass on showing up late is Todd. So I'm just putting that out there. But Mac's new podcast, Behind the Box Score, is under our sister station, 104.5 The Zone. So if you like conspiracy theorists and you need a sports version, a guy that's going to know the sports news before anybody else, please listen to Mac's podcast.
I got you, yes. Wherever you get your podcasts.
Please listen.
Yeah. It's a first one up with 104.5 The Zone. So go to their website, go to Apple, go to Spotify. We're there.
And it's posted?
It's up.
Hot dog.
Up. Yes, let's
go.
go.
Hot off the presses. All right, go give Mac a few listens. He deserves it. He works hard here. I mean, Mac is one of the hardest working guys here. Seriously. I joke about you not showing up, but he does this. He's doing the news in the afternoon with Murphy and Brian, and then he's cutting his own podcasts in his free time. And that's like a passion project of his. So he's doing it because he loves it, and you can hear it when you listen. So check him out. Mac deserves it, and follow him on Twitter at MacJMaury25.
Appreciate it. Heck yeah. Great start to the show.
Can you get a better Twitter handle though?
I know. As soon as you said it, I was like, oh no, he's gonna roast me again.
It's just like
it's a little long.
It's like an AOL Instant Messenger kind of handle.
You need to get with the times.
Yeah, dude, step it up. Step it up. I'm just letting you know.
Okay, for you. Since you plugged my pod, I'll do it.
I'm gonna critique. I have to, give a backhanded compliment somewhere. I like everything about him except for his Twitter handle. Lousy.
That's my one thing lacking.
It is lousy. Mac J Maury 25. Who would do that?
Clunky.
Are you even 25 anymore?
25.
Okay. How long have you had the Twitter handle?
25 years.
Okay. It's lame. So lame. I don't have a lame Twitter handle at Chris Hand on Air.
No, that's actually a really good one.
Is it?
No, as soon as you joined, I was like, dang, that's good.
Is it really, though?
I like it.
You're just saying that.
No, you're on air.
So I just did that because it was available on Instagram too. So,
yeah, and you want them to be the same.
I want them to be the same.
Yes.
So it's continuity, baby.
And I don't even think mine are the same.
No.
I think mine on Instagram's MJM20. I don't even know, man. Yeah.
Rookie moves. What a rookie. But yeah, seriously, we like Mac.
Yeah, we like Mac. Yeah, go listen to his podcast. Super hard worker. Yeah.
Great. He's great. Fact check Snow for me, but we love him. And I'm pulling a Mac on Monday. I'm not going to be here.
But hopefully you'll be sledding.
Yeah, we got some family stuff, so hopefully I'll be sledding with the kids. Hopefully these sleds that we bought 2 years ago are actually good.
Don't just bust immediately.
The jury is still out on those. So if it does in fact snow, you'll find me in Murfreesboro on that MTSU hill.
Yes.
Everybody in the borough knows what I'm talking about. That's the hill, baby.
It's gonna be awesome.
It's fingers crossed. I
hope.
We really need it.
Yes.
we
January. We haven't seen a flurry.
You see this rain out here?
A lot of rain.
Ridiculous.
Gross.
Give me snow.
Yes.
This whole weekend could have been snow.
Cold rain. Just the worst.
The worst kind of rain. The worst. The worst kind of rain. All right. So have we complained about nonsensical stuff enough?
I think we've done it. Yeah.
Do you think we've handled
We'll circle back here in a little bit.
We'll circle back. And I do want to wish my father-in-law, Roger, a happy birthday.
Woo! Happy birthday.
Yes. Happy birthday, Pops. That's what we call him.
Pops.
Pops. We love Pops.
That's great.
He is a veteran. He tells me all of his favorite war stories. And
That's cool.
He told me one time that he was on the Berlin Wall and he looked through a pair of binoculars, and on the other side he saw a Russian looking through binoculars at him.
Whoa.
Spooky, right?
That's insane. Yeah, that gave me chills. That's cool.
So one night, my brother-in-law Clint, me and Pops had stayed up and we're chatting. He's telling me all these war stories, and this is one of Pops' favorite stories because my brother-in-law Clint's like, "Whoa, you were up late talking to Pops? Like, what are you guys talking about?" And Clint has been in the family for quite a while. He'd been married in. He's seasoned vet as far as being an in-law goes. You know what I mean? I look to him for that kind of stuff. Great guy. He's like, "What were you and Pops talking about?" So, just tell me war stories. He'd been in the family for like 10 years at that point. He looks at me and goes, "Pops never told me any war stories." I'm sorry. I didn't know.
He's like jealous.
I didn't know. Happy birthday, Pops.
Happy birthday.
Thank you for always telling me the war stories. So, and thank you for your service. We love Pops. He's one of the best guys that you could ever meet. So, as we continue, we'll transition from war stories from Pops into actual war. We have stuff breaking out in the Middle East. This is wild. So last night I'm doing my show prep, and I got the old Laura Ingraham on. Don't ask me why. It's like I watch Fox News, so you don't have to. Fox News and Laura Ingraham. Honestly, she's background noise for me because it's just I don't know. You know how I feel about Fox. Everybody does. What's wrong, Mac?
Because we're Fox News and we suck.
Okay.
There it is.
Okay. Yeah.
Couldn't find it.
Mac had this panicked look on his face.
I was like, what? Is my Fox News and we suck thing not working? Come on.
All right. So Laura Ingraham broke in last night.
We have just been notified within the last few minutes that the United States, along with our allies in the UK, have begun striking the Iran-backed Houthi group inside of Yemen. Now, we do not know the extent of these strikes, but they come after the Houthis have been launching missiles and one-way drones on U.S. positions and commercial vessels in the Mideast now for a number of months, picking up in recent days. Now, in fact, this action by the administration comes only after there have been 130 such attacks. The White House has called a lid. That means Biden's gone to bed. So as we strike the military targets in the Middle East tonight, we don't expect to hear from our commander-in-chief.
No. Why would we expect to hear from Joe Biden? We haven't heard from him in days. So at the risk of sounding like Neville Chamberlain, as the super texters will call me when I say that I don't like war, I understand why they struck the Houthis. But I go back to the fact that none of this would be necessary if we had an effective commander-in-chief. They'll tout this is peace through strength, but I argue that the actual peace through strength is having a strong president in the White House, somebody like Trump, who the Houthis would have never started this to begin with. Hamas would have never attacked Israel to begin with. Ukraine would have never been invaded to begin with because we had someone strong in the White House. So this is, it looks like it's going to get us into another long-term conflict is my prediction because the Houthis aren't afraid of Joe Biden. The Houthis are actually, for all accounts, pretty formidable. They survived their civil war against the original Yemeni government that was backed by Saudi Arabia. They didn't back down. A lot of people think that they are tough and a bit, shall we say, I don't know, what's the right way to put it? Dumb and tough. Like if you're going to be dumb, you got to be tough.
Yep.
And I feel like that's how that everything I've read leans me to believe that is the case. A little bit dumb, a little bit tough. So I don't know if these strikes are going to be the end of it. What I do know is that it further complicates things in the Middle East. It further escalates tensions. And the guy that we have in control, well, he's gone to bed at 5:55 last night. Now, I see a lot of people on Twitter saying, whoa, you got to talk to Congress. What about the War Powers Act and all the things? And you know what? Does anybody talk to Congress when we declare wars anymore? We actually haven't had Congress declare war since World War II. That's old school way of thinking in this new military-industrial complex future. What we do is we launch these short little campaigns. It's not a war, it's a campaign. It's just a campaign. Don't worry about it. Campaigns that makes the military-industrial complex rich. So last night, the United States and Britain carry out these series of airstrikes It was about over 100 missiles, 60 locations, and it was a direct response to the Houthis attacking vessels in the Red Sea. And they were using anti-ship ballistic missiles for the first time in history, reports Fox News. The response, I understand. But the fact that we're here now is a clear result of the weakness in the White House. Now, a lot of people have been resurfacing this tweet from Joe Biden from January 6, 2020, where he tweeted out, "Let's be clear." And this was in response to Donald Trump, I believe, bombing Soleimani. I could be wrong. I think I'm correct. He said, "Let's be clear. Donald Trump does not have the authority to take us into war with Iran without congressional approval. A president should never take this nation to war without the informed consent of the American people." The tweet didn't age well. Matt Murphy on Twitter said, "Yeah, neither did the president." And here we are. Also, Trump had the Houthis designated as terrorists. And that was another thing that Biden removed and reversed that Trump did right on day one. Once again, Trump had something right, Biden reversed it, and now it's gone to you know what. Thank you, Jake Tapper. That clip has actually really had some good ROI.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah,
what
that's
I mean?
done well for him.
It's done. That clip is done well for us, so we appreciate you. So it was shortly after taking office in 2021, Biden reversed Trump's designation of the Iran-backed Yemeni Houthis as a terror group. In doing so, Biden spoke about the need to deal with the humanitarian disaster in Yemen at the time. It's always about the humanitarian disaster. The Trump administration believed the Houthis had used violent campaigns to destabilize the region. Houthis took over the Yemeni capital in 2014, along with much of the northwestern region of the country. The U.S. and U.K. conducted those joint operations to bomb that infrastructure last night. Biden claimed that when he designated them as a terrorist, it was to prevent, again, a humanitarian crisis. He said, "Our action is due entirely to the humanitarian consequences of this last-minute designation from the prior administration, which the United Nations and humanitarian organizations have since made clear would accelerate the world's worst humanitarian crisis." I feel like Joe Biden has accelerated every single one of the world's humanitarian crises. Has he not? Joe Biden is a walking humanitarian crisis at this point. The designation did not impact the Houthis in any practical way, he said, but it stopped food and other critical aid from being delivered inside Yemen and would have prevented effective negotiation. And again, Trump branded them as a terror group, and he did so to deter further malign activity by the Iranian regime. Trump also, wouldn't have given billions to Iran that basically financed the Hamas terror attack in Israel. It's unreal that Joe Biden reverses all of the positives from the Trump administration and then goes, "How could this have happened?" Like, what? What happened? At every step of his administration, he reverses what Trump did, and then he looks around and goes, "How could Orange Man have done this?" It's unbelievable. Tulsi Gabbard was on with Laura Ingraham last night. I like Tulsi. I think I don't agree with everything she says, but I think that she comes from a place of honesty, and you can trust that what she's saying is her opinion, which is something I truly value, even if it's somebody I disagree with. When it comes to somebody like Nikki Haley, I don't think anything she says is her own opinion. And so while some of her stuff, more of her stuff may align with, the conservative side, the conservative agenda, some of it, I don't believe that she actually believes it. I would rather have somebody tell me something and me not trust, not believe them or not think they're right, but believe that they're believing what they say and that they, are backing it. So that's one of the reasons why I like Tulsi Gabbard. But she was on with Laura Ingraham last night, and she's asked, what are the concerns here? What are your biggest concerns about the Houthi bombing? And she said, well, my concern is the concern of many Americans, basically, that the Biden administration is short-sighted and incompetent.
Yeah, Laura, my greatest concern, both as a soldier who serves in the Army Reserve, a veteran for over 20 years and multiple deployments to different war zones, is how short-sighted, incompetent, and lack of caring that the Biden-Harris administration has for our own national security and the American people. What they are doing here now appears to be not well thought out at all, or considering what the ramifications of this will be and how it serves our national security interests, just like they didn't think through what the ramifications would be of taking the Houthis off of the terrorist list a few years ago, just like they didn't consider the ramifications of giving Iran over $6 billion, much of which is going not to the well-being and humanitarian interests of the Iranian people, as they were promised, but to fund these terrorist groups like the Houthis to do exactly what they are doing, threatening global commerce and peace.
More analysis and reaction on the Houthi bombings that happened last night. After the break, it is 9:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand for my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. It is getting cold. It is about to get colder.
We have a Secretary of Defense who was hospitalized for 5...
My bad. Sorry about that. Hey, it's Chris Hand for Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. It is getting colder out there. It's getting so cold that it is disheveling. It is distracting. And with the winter winds coming and the temperatures dropping, is your heater working the way it should be? I mean, if it's not kicking the way it needs to be. And if it's not, it's time to call the guys who I trust, Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Maybe you're late on that annual maintenance. Are you waiting for a problem to pop up when the temperatures drop? If you are, don't wait. Call them today and make sure your heater is working in tip-top shape. Now, maybe you do need to repair it. Maybe you need to replace it. I remember a couple winters ago, we were relying on my gas fireplace because we didn't want to repair the heater just yet. We were kicking the can down the road. Well, I'm telling you what, this upcoming week, you are going to be kicking yourself if you've kicked the can down the road. So call Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling to repair or replace that plumbing, heating, or air system. These are the guys I trust, and you're not going to find a better value on replacement systems if you do need to replace it. They offer up to 12 months, no payment, no interest, with approved credit. Plus, it pays in so many ways to sign up for that annual maintenance on your plumbing, heating, and air systems from Busy Bee, and you can get added rewards and savings by signing up to be a Beehive member. You'll get that thorough annual maintenance on your plumbing, heating, and air systems. You'll get no overtime charges 24/7 and 10% off all repairs. It will pay for itself. Plus, they have convenient Saturday availability for those maintenance calls because they know you're a conservative and you're probably working during the week. So you'll never be left out in the cold. They'll come see you on Saturday. Busy Bee, your Rude Pro partner. For satisfaction guaranteed, call Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, 615-775-7833. That's 615-775-7833, or online at busybeehvac.com.
Severe weather outlook. I can tell you right now, Channel 5 out of Chicago says there was a lightning strike just moments ago, just 2 miles away from Music Row. Got lots of flight cancellations and medical experts on high alert. These stories and more at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It was thundering out here earlier, too. Did you hear that?
I did. Did you see Dan jump?
No. I'm gonna have to go check the tape.
He about came out of his seat.
You know what I miss that we had as a kid growing up in New England?
What's that?
Thunder snow. You guys ever had some thunder snow?
We had that in Boise.
Oh my gosh.
I don't think I've experienced that. Even in Wyoming, I don't know.
It
if we had
actually
that.
exists, Mac.
Does in
Thunder snow.
Oklahoma, too.
It's like a thunderstorm while it's snowing.
Yep.
Interesting.
Thunder snow.
Love it.
It's wild.
Be a great name for a rock band.
Thunder
Ooh.
snow.
Thunder Snow.
You know what else somebody said would be a great name for a band? Aaron texted me this on Twitter the other night at the debate. Ron DeSantis said ballistic podiatry. And she said that would be a great band name. I said, yes, I'm going to actually steal that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
I like the fact that the Florida governor was talking about feet.
Yeah.
Also, we had someone on our FNM Bank chat during the Amigos I saw say that we didn't see a super text, but someone made a photo edit of Ken Weaver with face tattoos. So
Really?
if you could, please send that in the super text line again. We'd love to see that.
This has been a photo edit kind of day. If you saw the photo edit that Dan's wife set him up with.
That's right.
Oh my god!
Now, I promise you, I've never done time.
But you wouldn't want to serve time with him, I can assure you of that.
You got that right.
Yeah. So he wouldn't be locked in there with you. You'd be locked in there with him. That's Ken Weaver for
He
you.
is fury in a package about 5'6".
All right, so on the way, we do want to keep talking about what's happening in the Middle East. Everything seems to be crashing down around the Biden administration, and it looks like they love getting us into new wars. They can get us into new wars. The military-industrial complex loves getting us into new wars. The only problem is they have a hard time getting us out. Isn't that the weirdest thing? I find that weird. They can start them, can't finish them. Repeating problem. Donald Trump actually talked about that with his Agenda 47.
World War III has never been closer than it is right now. We need to clean house of all of the warmongers and America Last globalists and the deep state, the Pentagon, the State Department, and the national security industrial complex. I was the only president in generations who didn't start a war. For decades, we've had the very same people, generals, bureaucrats, diplomats, who only know how to get us into conflict, but they don't know how to get us out. Here in America, we need to get rid of the corrupt globalist establishment that has botched every major foreign policy decision for decades. The State Department, Pentagon, and national security establishment will be a very different place by the end of my administration. I am the president who delivers peace, and it's peace through strength. At the end of my next 4 years, the warmongers, frauds, and failures at the senior ranks of our government will all be gone, and we will have a new group of competent national security officials who believe in defending America's vital interests above all else. Thank you very much.
"9:30, I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, tracking the potential for severe weather in Middle Tennessee. We have the full forecast in 2 minutes. If you have a flight to catch, you might want to check with your airline for what's happening right now in some of the nation's major cities here east of the Mississippi.
About 600 canceled flights were right here at Chicago's O'Hare Airport, and visibility is poor, down to about half a mile in some areas, and that's what's causing that ground stop. If you can't see on the runway, it creates a lot of problems, and it's the same issue on the roadways. So officials are warning people to avoid the roads altogether if you can. Stay inside, stay out of this.
Alex Perez reporting. So we've got nasty weather, nasty respiratory illnesses. Here's Morgan Norwood.
38 states are reporting very high or high levels of respiratory illness, and we really see it in the South. That's where it's most severe. And of course, these spikes can strain emergency rooms. And so let's talk about what's sending the most people to the ER right now. That's going to be flu and COVID-19. Flu hospitalizations up 35%, and the CDC believes flu infections will continue to grow.
Yeah, according to the CDC, Tennessee is among states that have contracted the most flu-like illnesses. Hospitals across Knoxville have been taking precautions as patient numbers rise. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
If you were trying to destroy America from within today, what would you do differently than today's Democrat Party policies? And I don't say Joe Biden because, in all fairness, like, no one believes this guy's in charge of anything. I mean, he's not in charge of his own faculties, let alone like decisions.
It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN, and even last night, as the Houthis are being bombed, Joe Biden calls a lid at 5:55. Like, I remember late night press conferences from Obama, you know? I remember late night press conferences from Trump coming out talking about al-Baghdadi. He died like a dog. You remember that? Joe Biden, though, he goes to sleep. And our defense secretary, Lloyd Austin, he's been MIA and he doesn't even tell anybody. So who is really pulling the strings? I mean, seriously, do you think that these guys are in control? But as we go into this new conflict with the Houthis, which again, it's deserved. They've been attacking vessels in the Red Sea. You know, they've been doing things that warrant a response. But they say, you know, peace through strength. We had a guy in the office that nobody would have even tried this kind of stuff against. Yet here we are. Here we are. Tulsi Gabbard was asked about this, and Biden calling a lid yesterday at 5:55 before all these attacks are carried out. And she said, well, we're all thinking, our leadership is missing in action.
We have a Secretary of Defense who was hospitalized for 5 days, and the White House, leaders in the Pentagon, the National Security Council, the president himself had no idea. It's hard to convey this frustration, both as an American, but also as a soldier. How is this even possible? Coming from our leaders in the Pentagon and the President of the United States, who already turned off the lights for the night, even as our military is taking action overseas. So we should all be very concerned right now about the consequences of such a short-sighted administration who undermines our national security at every turn in the decisions that they are making overseas, but also in the decisions that they're making here at home. And you talked a little bit about this before. Tens of thousands or thousands and tens of thousands of people are streaming across our borders into our country with no vetting whatsoever. And we know that that includes people who are terrorists who seek to do harm to the American people right here at home.
And it does. It seems like we're having to deal with this on multiple fronts. We have the southern border. We have what's happening in Ukraine. We obviously have Israel versus Hamas. And we have now the Houthis. And is it just me, or does it feel like we're finding ourselves in another conflict with the Houthis where we're funding both sides? We know that they're backed by Iran. We've taken, under Joe Biden, sanctions off Iran. We've given them billions for hostages. Are we funding another war from both sides? I feel like that. I feel like that about Hamas, Israel. You know, we send aid into Palestine, but we're also sending aid to Israel. It's like any conflict that we're getting into, it seems like we're funding both sides. While we're $34 trillion in debt, just Biden things, just Democrat things. Now, Yahoo News had this article. I thought it was good. You know, that about the Houthis, who they are, and what their advanced arsenal means for this fight. And they say that it honestly means that this is going to be long and tough, which is perfect for the military-industrial complex. But it's going to eat into our defense budget, and it's going to weaken our military. We're spread too thin. Once again, we're going to find ourselves in another situation, a prolonged conflict, where we are going to be weaker, and it's going to make our enemies stronger. And you know, people like China are licking their lips at this. Because once again, we're going to be tied up in another region of the Middle East, and they're going to be looking at Taiwan like it's lunchtime. But Yahoo has this. The U.S. and British militaries launched the airstrikes against Houthi targets in Yemen on Thursday night in a formidable show of force. But Middle East analysts warn that they may have a protracted fight from a determined opponent. Although recent escalation of Houthi attacks on commercial vessels in the Red Sea has so far been rudimentary, a report this week by the London-based Royal United Services Institute warned it may prove difficult for the West to effectively degrade Houthi capabilities. Ahead of the strikes on Thursday, Abdul Malik al-Houthi, the leader of the Iran-backed Houthis, threatened that any American attack will not remain without a response. They say his brash boast appears to be founded in the Houthis' technically advanced maritime strike capabilities, which have already been unleashed in attacks against international commercial vessels in the Red Sea to protest Israel's war in Gaza. It goes on to say the U.S. military said the Houthis earlier on Thursday staged their 27th attack on shipping since the 19th of November. The assaults include the use of anti-ship ballistic missiles for the first time in history. So they're doing things we've never seen them do before. And the Houthis have significant maritime strike capability. On December 30th, the USS Gravely, an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, was forced to shoot down 2 of these anti-ship ballistic missiles when it responded to a distress call from the, and I'm probably going to butcher this, the Marsk Hangzhou. Is that right? I don't know. Close enough. An ASBM is technically a significant maritime strike capability. The fact that a non-state actor is in possession of this kind of weapon and is employing it with impunity is a grave concern, said the RUSI report. The Houthis have a range of these missiles available to them, as well as capabilities to deploy drones and uncrewed kamikaze boats. That's what the authors of this analysis say, Sam Crenny Evans and Dr. Siddharth Kaushal. And I'm probably butchering that last name as well. Theoretically, though, the most sophisticated weapon among this arsenal is the ASIF ASBM, which carries 1,100-pound warhead and has a range of 250 miles. Now, it's believed to be based on the Iranian Khalij Fars ASBM and uses electro-optical seeker to hone in on its target. They also have truck-launched Al-Mandeb 2, which appears to be a close copy of the C-802, a Chinese ASCM sold to Iran in the 1990s. And that's available to the rebels and has been used to damage and attack multiple ships since 2016. The U.S. is accusing Iran of providing these weapons, or at least being instrumental in enabling the Houthis to build them. And I would say if the U.S. is accusing Iran of providing them, where did Iran get the money from? Once again, it's a conflict where we're funding both sides. A fleet of uncrewed aerial vehicles, UAVs, that can fly more than 1,500 kilometers with an explosive payload. The Houthis have those and also present a credible threat. And they add that the primary strength of the Houthi missile arsenal is experience. The Saudi Air Force has been conducting strikes in Yemen since 2015, which means that the Houthis, they're used to this and they are ready and capable of minimizing the damage that they cause. This report goes on to say that the Houthis do have a major weakness, though, and that the Houthis' maritime strike capabilities have a crucial weakness, their lack of effective targeting infrastructure. It is believed that the Iranians have been filling that gap, providing intelligence, a surveillance ship, and although its capabilities are suspected to be limited. But once again, Iran is in the mix with these guys. We give Iran billions under this administration. Under this administration, the terrorist designation has been taken off the Houthis. We are enabling and funding the same people that we're attacking. Where's the outrage? Initial strikes on Friday morning were reported to have hit the Houthi-controlled sites in Yemen, including weapons storage and drone launching facilities. Any operation to secure shipping against a Houthi force with the advantage of proximity is likely to require a disproportionately resource-intensive effort, said the RUSI. A major issue facing the coalition is not the difficulty of intercepting the Houthi missiles and UAVs per se, but rather the cost of doing so and the mismatch between tactical and strategic effectiveness. It goes on to add that the Houthis are a persistent and determined opponent, and it is unlikely that they will halt their strikes simply because they are ineffective. Like I said earlier, everything I've read about these guys say that they are a solid mix of dumb and tough. And if you're going to be dumb, you better be tough. But the report concludes that the Houthis' lack of targeting sophistication creates a manageable threat that can be countered with air defense assets in the region, arguing that the most effective course of action would involve strikes against limited but valuable target sets. But we're funding both sides of this thing. Trump's former ambassador at large, Nathan Sales, was on Fox News last night, and he had this to say about the Houthis. Excuse me. He had this to say. Hold on, let me find the clip. Shoot. Where'd the clip go? I don't have the audio. I'm sorry. Man. Dang. I'll get the audio for you after the break. Don't worry, though. We do have that audio. The thing about this that does really rub me the wrong way is that we're funding both sides. Iran is backing the Houthis, and we are funding Iran by giving billions of dollars to them for hostages. We're releasing the sanctions, and they're making tons of money. We're making it easy for Iran to fund these rebel groups, these terrorists in the Houthis and in Hamas. And we've displayed it time and time again, but there's no outrage from the left that we're doing this. There's no outrage from mainstream media that we're funding both sides. But we're finding ourselves in another conflict that is going to drain resources, spread our military more thin. And when something big happens, we're going to be in a weaker state because of it. There's a meme floating around on the internet where it says the Middle East in 2020, and it's a picture of Trump, Netanyahu, and other Middle Eastern countries signing the Abraham Accords. And it says Middle East in 2024, and it shows the bombing of the Houthis last night. Trump went on record with Breitbart and said, actually, by now, if he was still possible, every Arab country and possibly Iran would have signed the Abraham Accords if Biden wasn't president. I tend to believe him. I have no reason not to. It seemed like we were trending in a direction in the Middle East under Trump that was peace. And it was peace through strength. But it seems like that has significantly been degraded under Biden. Significantly. But Trump said that with Breitbart exclusively. He believes, had the 2020 election not gone the way it did, and he were president right now, a path to true peace in the Middle East was possible. Instead, Biden's in office, and the region is further destabilized, and no new countries have joined the Abraham Accords. It's crazy. It seemed like the world was on a better trajectory when Donald Trump was at the helm. Does it not? And yet, they told us he would get us into World War III. They told us things would be bad. And it seems like the Democrats have done everything that they warned Trump would do in very little time. Very little time. It's 9:50 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Tracking the potential for severe weather, U.S. officials bracing forces in the Red Sea for retaliatory attacks from Iranian-backed militants. And the next youngest head coach in the NFL has ties to Tennessee. These stories and more at 10 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It's 9:55 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. We actually have a guest coming up after 10 o'clock, Roger Simon. He's an author. He wrote a book that's being recommended by Tucker Carlson, Vivek Ramaswamy, and John Rich out here in Nashville. It's called American Refugees, The Untold Story of the Mass Exodus from Blue States to Red States. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. I think it's going to be fascinating. I, too, am a refugee from a blue state, growing up in Massachusetts and coming to a red state in Tennessee, and I'm excited to be in a red state. So I'm excited to have this conversation with Roger and talk to him. We'll do that on the way. Now, another story that's happening in the world right now is at the border. The Texas National Guard has seized part of the border. This is wild. While everything's happening last night with the Houthis, also happening yesterday was Texas seizing a part of the border from Border Patrol. And they block them from entering. They say it's part of an anti-illegal immigration effort. Texas, as we know, has been just in beef with the Biden administration over how they're handling the border crisis, and they've basically had enough. So Texas National Guard has seized control of a park at the U.S. southern border, and it's blocking Border Patrol from entering the area. They say it's an effort to stop the surge, and it's going to increase tensions between Texas Governor Greg Abbott and the federal government. This, to me, is one of the biggest things that we have seen at the southern border yet. And it scares me, the implications of it, because this is exactly what could lead us to civil war. Point blank. We're going to find a situation where you're going to have the federal government squaring off against local and state law enforcement. And then what happens? Does a Customs and Border Patrol agent go into this area that is now shut down and seized by the Texas National Guard? And if so, do they arrest that agent? Are we going to see state officials arresting federal officials or vice versa? I think that it could escalate very, very quickly. And I would love to get your reaction on it. I know that a lot of people are going to be probably pretty happy that finally something is being done on the border. And I don't blame you for thinking that at all. But it could escalate to an area that is really bad really quick. So let's just say, all right, you get a Customs and Border Patrol agent arrested by the Texas National Guard for not respecting their orders, right? It would then cause a response from the federal government. So then what happens? It escalates, right? So you'd get feds arrested, or you get, state officials arrested. That would cause other red states to react and go in to help Texas, mobilize their National Guard. Then you'd have blue states reacting to defend the feds. And if it popped off that way, I think it could happen in a matter of hours if the heat is hot enough. One reaction by these feds to a state that is not complying with them could inevitably turn into a civil war. So that's a big story that's happening, and I want to talk to you guys about it. We'll do it after we talk with author of American Refugee, Roger L. Simon. And I think his book fits right in with this. The divide between blue states and red states has grown so deep. How do we come back from it? Hang out with us. We got more on the way. It's the Chris Hand Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
10 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We are bracing for more heavy, or rather high winds, heavy rain. Could see some storms today. Already power outages. Fox 17 says NES reporting more than 1,300 outages. Duck River, just under 300. Full forecast coming up in 2 minutes. Travel could be a nightmare due to the weather in major cities. It already is in Chicago. That's where Alex Perez is. He says O'Hare International Airport has a ground stop.
We're expecting blizzard-like conditions later today in Chicago area and other parts of the Midwest. And making things even worse, adding to that, is that the temperature is going to take a tumble. We're expecting a deep freeze as we head into the weekend and into next week. So Mother Nature really relentless right now.
Yeah, about 600 flights canceled at Chicago's O'Hare. War on terror. This morning, U.S. officials bracing their forces in the Red Sea as the Iranian-backed Houthi rebels vow revenge from the U.S. and the U.K.'s overnight retaliatory missile strikes against their militants in Yemen. Here's Luis Martinez.
The real question is, how is Iran going to react? Because these Houthi militants are backed by Iran, and these missiles are provided by Iran, and Iran has essentially given their approval for the Houthis to do this. It's not been direct approval, but indirect approval. And so the question is, how will Iran react? Because any escalation in the region is what is essentially the United States had tried to avoid, and now we're seeing the United States having to retaliate because of the Houthis.
Yeah, it was a wave of Tomahawk cruise missiles launched from a U.S. submarine and Navy ships backed by fighter jets, rocking 60 terrorist targets in 16 locations, destroying weapons, radar, and surveillance systems and unmanned vehicles. Turning to sports, the Patriots have decided on a new head coach, and he's got Tennessee ties. Multiple reports say former Tennessee Vols and Patriot linebacker Gerard Mayo will be Bill Belichick's successor and the 15th head coach in franchise history. At 37 years old, Mayo will be the youngest coach in the NFL. He played for Belichick from 2008 to 2015 after being selected in the first round of the draft out of Tennessee. He joined Belichick's staff in 2019 as linebackers coach. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Well, we're going to have Roger Simon join us to talk about his book, American Refugee. And but it's not happening anymore. So
We move on. Yep.
Says GPS got him stuck in the Gulch. I don't know. And he's going to Iowa.
Brian Wilson will be in Iowa.
Brian's going to be in Iowa. That's right. Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling and the Charlie Daniels Journey Home Project are sending Brian there. Is he already on his way there now? Is he going to be? He's flying out tomorrow, I believe.
Yeah, I think. Well, no, he's driving. I don't know when
he's driving. He's
to
driving Iowa.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, in the cold. Yeah, he's got all this radio equipment. He doesn't want to have to fly with it, so he's gonna.
What?
I know. That's what he's doing.
What are they sending him with?
He's got his special gear. I don't know.
Dude, I flew with radio equipment.
I know, yeah. You said, I ain't driving to Arizona.
No. I mean, that's got to take a long time.
I think it's a 10-hour drive, he said.
To Iowa? From here?
Yeah, that's what he said, I think.
Where's he
going?
going?
From Watertown.
Oh, my gosh.
Bucolic, Watertown.
What part is he going to in Iowa?
Des Moines.
Okay, hold on. I'm pulling up the GPS because we've been having GPS conversations. So, from the station, Des Moines, Iowa. Let's see. 9 hours and 36 minutes. That's not that bad.
No, he'll make it.
It's like 22 hours to Arizona.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I did a 16-hour drive in one day, but done 24 hours over 2 days.
I did 12 hours overnight from North Carolina with 4 kids.
Oh.
And I did it in one stop, baby.
Nice. That's impressive.
This is what I do.
That's dad status.
You just got to make sure that they're sleeping.
Yeah, get them asleep.
Like, do the overnight and deal with it.
Yeah, and just power through. Tough it out.
Espresso over coffee.
Yeah.
Less liquid, more caffeine. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah, you don't want to stop to be peeing.
No, you can't do that. So.
But yeah, anyways, Brian.
anyways, I don't have my guest anymore, and Brian's going to be in Iowa. Covering the Iowa caucus. So one of the things that they've been leaning on in Iowa is the fact that Nikki Haley's surging, right? And Nikki Haley's campaign, one of the things they've been leaning on is the fact that she would beat Joe Biden in a head-to-head, right? Remember, you know that. That's what she's got. Listen, it's so close between Trump and Biden, but I beat him. I beat him big time. Okay. That was the narrative, if you will. That Trump won't beat Biden. Trump beats Nick. It's like rock, paper, scissors. Trump beats Nikki. Trump loses to Biden. Nikki beats Biden, right? Who are you going to choose? Well, there's new polling out that says no. Trump crushes Biden and Nikki Haley loses to Biden in national poll. Former Governor Nikki Haley loses to his fraudulency, Joe Biden, while former President Trump crushes the sitting president. So if the 2024 presidential election was held today, Trump would defeat Hunter's dad by a margin of 49 to 41%, according to polling from Rasmussen. And if Nikki Haley is the nominee, she would lose to Biden by 2 points, 38-36. So the one thing that they had going for them in their rock, paper, scissors theory of presidential politics, Trump loses to Biden, Trump beats Haley, Haley beats Biden. It's now off the table, according to this new polling. But DeSantis would beat Biden, according to this polling. They were talking on Nashville's Morning News with Dan Mandis about, does DeSantis supporters flee to Nikki Haley if he drops out of the race after Iowa? And I say no. I feel like the DeSantis supporters would go to Trump. So what say you, DeSantis bros out there? I know that I have DeSantis bros that listen. If DeSantis drops out, would you support Haley or would you support Trump? 615-737-9986. I'd love to hear from you, or you can shoot a text. If you support DeSantis, if you support Nikki Haley, no, sorry, said that wrong. I'm like all rock, paper, scissors theory in my head. If you support DeSantis and he drops out, where does your support go? Haley or Trump? Where's it go?
Or other.
Nobody's doing other. You think somebody's going to do other? You think they're going to other this thing? Jeremy texted and he said, that's why they want DeSantis to team up with Haley. All right. 8335. DeSantis bro here. I love they're the DeSantis bros.
DeSantis bros.
I like DeSantis bros. I don't like DeSantis, but I like DeSantis bros. He says, DeSantis bro here. I would definitely go to Trump. By the way, I stopped listening to you for a couple months because you kept crapping on DeSantis. But I'm back. Baby.
That's great.
But I'm back. Welcome back.
Welcome back,
8335. We're back, baby. We're so back right now.
That's awesome.
4209 says at least 75% would go to Trump. Oh, 3856 says support goes to Nikki Haley, 100%.
Wow. Ugh. Just see Chris shivering.
Got cold chills. Call Busy Bee. Check the heat in this place. A couple people said definitely Trump. There's a few people saying Haley. 4702 said never Nikki. Can we stop the never so and so stuff?
Yeah, please.
Like, I hear you, and I don't like Nikki Haley either. But I would never be like never Nikki.
Hashtag never Nikki.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not knocking you, 4702. I love you that you're listening. 7861 says Nikki is fake. 6598 said never Hillary. Nikki Hillary. Get it?
Yes.
Brian says the TDS is strong with some people. You know, I got a text earlier today from a Biden supporter that said I have BDS. Biden derangement syndrome.
No.
Never heard of that. The left can't meme. 5822 said Ron DeSantis, bro, here. Trump, 100%. 5547 said even Obama picks Trump over Biden. Probably true.
Yeah, I could see it.
So, a lot of people are supporting Donald Trump. And in the Iowa caucus, Mika Brzezinski of Morning Joe fame, she's married to Joe Scarborough. Didn't he kill a guy or an intern? I think he killed somebody. I think that's the rumor. Have you heard that rumor? That Joe Scarborough killed an intern? You Google it. It's definitely a rumor. I think maybe Trump started it.
There we go.
All right, so Mika Brzezinski is
there it is.
Did you get it come right up?
Trump tweets baseless conspiracy theory accusing. Yeah.
So that means it's probably true. Anyway. Mika Brzezinski was talking about these Iowa polls on Morning Joe on the MSNBCs, and she was shocked, just absolutely flabbergasted that Trump has the support of evangelicals.
Iowa caucuses. New polling shows former President Trump making larger inroads with two key groups when compared to 2016. Evangelicals and first-time caucus goers. NBC News national political correspondent Steve Kornacki is with us from the big board. Steve, what are the latest polls showing us about Trump's gain with these two groups? I have no words for evangelical voters at this point.
I love how she's so shocked by evangelical voters when this woman will openly push for abortion on her TV show, and she's going to sit here and judge evangelical voters. I'm so shocked. This feign, she's feigning this highfalutin morality.
I have no words for.
I have no words.
I have no words for evangelical voters at this point.
It's just in terms of the numbers on this, I'll show you here in a second. It is a dramatic, pick your adjective, dramatic turnaround, I'll say, since 2016 in terms of where Trump stands with evangelicals. We've seen this nationally, and I think it's the biggest story in Iowa.
It's the biggest story in Iowa. He's crushing the evangelical numbers, and they're baffled. They are baffled. Why are they so baffled? What on earth would make them baffled about this? Trump talks about God, talks about Jesus. He got 3 Supreme Court justices on the court that overturned Roe v. Wade. He does prayer breakfasts, March for Life. Like what is honestly so baffling about this for the left? What baffles them that evangelicals support him? It baffles me that they're baffled. It's baffling inception. I'm baffled by the baffledness. He's crushing those numbers.
Our most recent NBC News Des Moines Register poll out of Iowa. This is about a month old, but this is what we've been seeing all year. Among evangelicals, look at the turnaround. Trump, who was losing by 12 to Ted Cruz, now with an outright majority, 51% of the evangelical vote, basically 2-1 over his nearest foe, Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, barely in double digits.
Evangelicals hate Nikki Haley. Barely in double digits. 2-1 over Ron DeSantis. He's got 51% of evangelicals. But it doesn't stop there. He's also taking first-time caucus goers. This one, they're like, how does this happen? Well, I'll explain that as well. It's pretty simple. First-time caucus goers are trying to pay for rent. First-time caucus goers had the final years of their high school career ruined by the COVID pandemic, and the left in the media gaslit them the whole time and forced them to get a vaccine or made them drop out of college because they wouldn't get a vaccine. So, of course, he's taking first-time caucus goers, and the numbers are huge.
First-time caucus goers can often be about 40% of the caucus electorate. Here is a group that Trump won in 2016, although it was close. He got 30%, Cruz, Rubio, both in the 20s. So this was a group that kept Trump in the game in 2016. Wasn't enough to win the state for him. But look at this. When you look now in our poll at first-time caucus goers, Trump with a 51-point advantage over his nearest foe here, Ron DeSantis. So he's had those two groups not just change in terms of one going for him that wasn't before. They have both exploded in terms of him now just winning outright majorities, massive landslides with both groups. It's why he's been so consistently ahead in Iowa.
Consistently ahead in Iowa. Taking first-time caucus goers, Trump has 63%. DeSantis has 12% in the latest polls. Baffling. How could he take first-time caucus goers? Again, you can point to the economy. Young kids trying to pay for gas, rent, used cars. Are all those prices up or down in the Biden economy? You got a middle from the middle, baby. That's it. Biden 2024. Middle from the middle. You know, but listen, seriously, these first-time voters, there's a huge group of first-time voters who had their final years of high school ruined in a lot of these blue states. They've had their dreams of moving out of their parents' house ruined in the Biden economy. To go to college under Joe Biden, you were forced to take a vaccine or you can't go. What? Why are they shocked that these first-time voters, first-time caucus goers, would be in huge favor of Trump? I think that a lot of these people aren't realizing that these first-time caucus goers, first-time voters in general, they're looking around and going, this isn't the deal I was promised. And they look at the left, they look at the media, and they say, you're to blame. This is on you. I can't afford a car. I can't afford gas. I can't afford rent because of you. And they look at Joe Biden. Then they think back to just a few years ago, when they were in their early years in high school and they had a part-time job and everything was cheap and good under Trump. And they go, no, let's go back to that guy. No more middling from the middle. That's not what we're for. They don't want a middle from the middle. It's not.
Don't.
Okay. I'll try to do better. But are you surprised that young voters are moving towards Trump?
No.
Was college not ruined under these mandates by Biden? Was the pandemic not ruining the end of these first-time voters' high school career? Do they not all see that under Trump things were a lot better? And I know the pandemic started under Trump. I know the lockdown started under Trump. But the left-wing media wouldn't let people talk about where it even came from. I don't think anybody really blamed Trump for the pandemic, but they saw the response from these blue states versus the response from red states and went, yeah, no more middling from the middle. I'm gonna go with Trump. Thank you. And the border. We didn't even talk about the border. These young people see the border. They're not dumb. And the young voters aren't getting their news from mainstream legacy media. They're on the internet. They're reading and they're seeing exactly what's going on. We'll talk more about the border after the break, including the latest moves by Texas Governor Greg Abbott, mobilizing the Texas National Guard, and taking your phone calls at 615-737-9986. It's an agenda-free Friday. Anything you want to talk about, we can talk about. Middling from the middle on the Chris Hand Show. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Wind speeds picking up across Middle Tennessee. More than 1,500 power outage reports. Hunter Biden caving in the face of a potential contempt of Congress charge. We'll tell you about that at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN 1025. Just reading some of your super texts. We were talking about the evangelical vote. Got a great text from 5019. The evangelical vote, Mika Brzezinski, she couldn't believe that Trump was going to get the evangelical vote.
I have no words for evangelical voters.
I have no words. 5019 sent in the text, said, evangelical, the presidency isn't just one man. They see topless transvestites on the White House lawn and gay porn being filmed in Congress. They ain't voting for that. Good point. Good point. We were also talking about Nikki Haley, or Ron DeSantis, if he drops out, where does your support go? Do the DeSantis pros give support to Nikki? And I got I think it's a DeSantis pro. I don't want to call anybody anything I can't take back. But he said, Chris, I would write in Chris Christie before voting for Nikki. Better than that, I would vote for that Chinese kid that was trucked by Newsom over her. Do you remember that?
Oh, my God. Oh, yeah, of course.
The Chinese, Gavin Newsom went to China and he tackled a little Chinese kid, almost sparking an international incident. He said, of Nikki, 4702 says she is Hillary without the hit list. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. 4209 also, we were talking about the young voters. And I said, think about the young voters. Their high schools was ruined by the somebody said it's not a pandemic, it's a scamdemic. That was 9966. So new voters, the end of your high school was ruined by the scamdemic. Or your first years in college were ruined by the scamdemic. Then you're forced by Joe Biden to take a vaccine and it's allowed, or you can't go back to college. So 4209 said, if you think what you do affects young people negatively, if what you do affects young people negatively, they will never forget it. Good point. They're not going to forget that. So, thank you, DeSantis bros, for weighing in. 5436 said, I would vote for my cat before I vote for Joe Biden.
Oh, my gosh.
I, too, would vote for a cat before Joe Biden. Not even a cat guy. Completely allergic.
Yeah, same. Not a cat guy. Also allergic.
I would vote for a cat over Joe Biden. So funny. Who wouldn't vote for a cat over Joe Biden?
Maybe a dog.
Maybe
a dog.
Kitten mittens. Maybe a dog. That's a good point. That's fair. But a lot of people would prefer a house pet over Joe Biden. It would be more coherent. Hey, did you hear we got a new advertiser on WTN?
Oh, no way.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited about this advertiser. Yeah.
White House Senior Living. Our residents feel right at home. Our vibrant facility offers delightful activities and outings, round-the-clock professional care, and exquisite house-made meals.
Well, I've been eating everything that's put in front of me. I've been eating all Italian foods, basically.
And ice cream.
And ice cream, chocolate chip ice cream.
White House Senior Living, where residents feel like presidents.
White House Senior Living, where residents feel like presidents.
That's great.
Yep. Well, only if you get a day pass at White House Senior Living. You have to get the day pass or be signed out.
Oh gosh,
that's how it works at White House Senior Living.
Was that on Twitter? Is that where you?
Donald Trump posted it on the gram.
Donald Trump posted that.
Of course he did.
Oh my.
The memes are back.
Yes.
The left can't meme, but the right sure can. Find me on Twitter at Chris Hand on Air, also on Instagram. It is 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Ken Weaver's got the latest headlines.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 2 minutes, tracking this nasty weather out there. Some peak wind gusts have been measured by the National Weather Service. Right now, we've had 45 mile per hour winds in Lebanon, 43 in Clarksville, 42 in Reedyville. Columbia seeing 41 mile per hour gusts. Nashville, 40 mile per hour gusts. Breaking news in the influence peddling investigation of President Biden. Hunter Biden is caving in the face of a contempt of Congress vote on the full House floor next week. Hunter Biden's lawyers have agreed to sit for a deposition, saying Hunter will accept what the lawyers call a proper subpoena now that the impeachment inquiry is official. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, it's Chris Hand for my friends at Paul Winkler, Inc. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. Before I linked up with Paul and his team, my wife and I did not have a financial plan for the future. It was one of the biggest holes in our lives, and it was one of the biggest worries. You know, we plan for everything. You plan on what you're going to have for dinner. You plan for vacations, but we weren't planning for our financial future. It was honestly one of our failures. And when you have 4 kids and you're looking at life down the road, you shouldn't drop the ball on that. And we were. But we aren't anymore. I've been a listener of Paul's radio show, and I got to meet him when I started working here. So happy I did. It's why I decided to become a client of his. Now, his team holds themselves to a higher level of fiduciary standard. So I have to tell you that I'm paid when this commercial airs, but that's not why I decided to become a client. I decided to become a client because I realized that Paul is the same guy that I heard on the air. He's smart, he's honest, he's legit. And when we didn't have a plan, Paul broke it down for us on how to make that plan. And Paul's team doesn't do anything on commission. So I knew when they were giving me and my wife financial advice, it was for me and my wife, not for anybody else. Because nothing that they do is done on commission. If you don't have a financial plan, I'm telling you, talk to Paul and his team. You'll be as impressed as I am. They know the financial world better than I do, and they'll make your financial goals more realistic by explaining what to do and why. They did it for us. Their investment education they provide is evidence-based and backed by Nobel Prize-winning research. So check these guys out. Every office is run by a degreed planner with over 20 years of experience, and you can feel the difference between Paul's team and the rest. That experience equals confidence. So do what I did. Talk to one of his team members today. Complimentary phone calls can be set up at paulwinkler.com. That's paulwinkler.com, or call 615-851-1950.
I'm going to be, on day one, I'm going to be a dictator. Who says it to you, tells you. I'm going to put you people away. I'm going to take all the journalists. I'm going to take all the gay folks. I'm going to move you all around and disappear you. If that's the country you want, you know who to vote for. If that's not the country you want, you have to make a decision.
That's Whoopi Goldberg. Did you know that Trump is going to disappear all the journalists and gay folks? I didn't know that. News to me. I mean, I know that Joe Biden locks up journalists if they just so happen to be around the area on January 6th. His administration does that. I don't think that's a Trump thing. I think that's a Biden thing. Right? I think it's a Biden thing. Whoopi Goldberg has the worst case of Trump derangement syndrome ever. And so does everybody else on The View. Hey, by the way, one of my friends on Twitter, Jason, who watches us on YouTube. You can listen to us anywhere with the iHeartRadio app or the TuneIn app. He says that his son Caleb is turning 18 today. Happy birthday, Caleb.
Happy birthday.
Vote Trump. Vote Trump and your gift will be freedom, Caleb. Otherwise, the best we can do is like diet communism. That's it. Happy birthday. Did you know that my daughter is now being harassed at school and being called Canadian by her classmates?
No way.
Because of you super texters and your mean jokes.
Oh, no.
It's trickle-down insults, I like to call it.
Makes sense.
It does. It said one of her classmates called her, you're Canadian. Like, it's like, no, I'm not. Where did that come from?
Also,
like,
was that a point to demean whatever she said? Now all of a sudden it's irrelevant? Well, you're Canadian, so it doesn't matter.
You're Canadian. We're not. Full disclosure. It's become a running bit on the super text line, and it's trickled down to people that listen are now telling their kids, and now my kids are being insulted. I don't know what to do with that. I thought it was hilarious at first. Then I'm like,
wait, has this gone too far?
I was like, is this joke gone too far? Yeah. Everything's gone too far with Biden at the helm, including what's happening on the southern border. Texas Governor Greg Abbott said enough is enough. And he has put the National Guard in control of a border section. This is one of the main areas that they've been crossing over. It's in, excuse me. The Texas governor took control of Shelby Park in the city of Eagle Pass, Texas. That's been at the center of the migrant crisis. What do you think about this? 615-737-9986. Are you happy that the governor did this? I think it's an awesome move. I think it was a move that needed to be done, but I'm nervous where this leads. Full disclosure. Like, this is trending towards Civil War stuff, where you're going to have state officials taking over a section of the border, and federal officials are now going to be disputing it. What happens next? So the state government took control of Shelby Park in the city of Eagle Pass, Texas, which is the center of the migrant crisis. That was where authorities were cutting the razor wire. So now state authorities have set up new razor wire and fences to block off the area. Eagle Pass Mayor Rolando Salinas said he was informed that the decision was made as part of Governor Greg Abbott's emergency declaration. He told reporters it was not something that the city had requested, and he said his understanding is that the Border Patrol was now not in the area as a result. So the Border Patrol is out. Texas National Guard is in. In a statement, the Texas Military Department said that it has maintained a presence in the park since 2021, including security points and temporary barriers. But they went on to say the current posture is to prepare for future illegal immigrant surges and to restrict access to organizations that perpetuate illegal immigrant crossings in the park and greater Eagle Pass area. So in that statement, this move is to restrict access to organizations that perpetuate illegal immigrant crossings, and they kick out Border Patrol. They're essentially saying that the Border Patrol was perpetuating illegal immigrant crossings in the park in the greater Eagle Pass area. Border Patrol Union confirmed to Fox News that the agents were being blocked from entering by Texas soldiers. But you know what the Border Patrol did? They praised Abbott for taking matters into his own hands. They said Governor Abbott is not harming Border Patrol operations. He is enhancing them. That was National Border Patrol Counsel Brandon Judd saying in his statement, his seizing control of Shelby Park allows our agents to deploy to trouble spots that experience high numbers of gotaways. Governor Abbott's actions should be seen as a force multiplier. Fred has a comment on Greg Abbott. You're next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, Fred?
Hey, Chris, how you doing? I appreciate you taking my call there.
Absolutely,
I hope you
man.
Understand me. I know I have an accent. I'm a little hard to understand sometimes.
No, I'm picking up what you're putting down, Fred. Don't be hard on yourself.
But no, I support Greg Abbott 100%, by Joey. I think it's something that they need to do. Get down there and show that big tyrannical government up there that I am so sick to death of hearing all their bull crap and all their anal talking and all that. It just burns me up, just like you were talking about that school up there in New York where they're bringing all them illegals in here. If it was me, I'd put a whole army down there on the whole Texas state border.
I'm with you, and I feel like that would end it in a day. You could end this in a day.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I know that sounds like I'm I'm a rebellious big old Trumpster there. I guess I am.
Oh, what a MAGA,
that's
Fred.
What it's going to take to get it back one of these days.
Fred, you're a MAGA
another thing,
extremist.
I'll say one more. Yeah, I'll say one more thing before I let you go, or before you let me go. There is, all these monuments and everything they tore down of our monuments and stuff. They always told me, if you try to erase history, you're always doomed to repeat it, and it looks like it's on its way right now.
Amen to that, Fred. I appreciate the call. I didn't let Fred go. Fred didn't let me go. We mutually agreed to part ways. You listen to the Democrats, and it's actually funny what they say. Rep. Jayapal says that she thinks Biden has actually been heavy-handed on the border. Heavy-handed. That's what she actually said.
There is so much fear-mongering going on that it is difficult to know exactly where to start. But let me say this. First, the Biden administration is enforcing immigration laws. In fact, the administration has been so heavy-handed in recent months that I have serious concerns about how they are conducting border enforcement.
Oh, they've been so heavy-handed that Rep. Jayapal has serious concerns about how they're doing it. Well, Greg Abbott had serious concerns as well, and that's why he seized that portion of the border in Eagle Pass. Bill in the borough, you're next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What are your thoughts on Abbott taking over that portion of the border?
I think it's great. I think we need to do a little bit more.
You think that this is going to be something that could lead to civil war down the line?
Well, if it does, we need it. We ain't a nation the way we are now.
Hey, I hear you, man. I appreciate the call. One of the things that does worry me is that this action could lead to civil war, and I don't think that there's any winners in a civil war. I think that this country would be ripped apart. That's not something I want to see. I want to see the border secure. I want to see the federal government stop opening the border and allowing this invasion to occur. But I do worry about the implications of this. I seriously, it makes me wonder if this is going to spiral out of control. However, when you hear Border Patrol Counsel Brandon Judd, the National Border Patrol Counsel Brandon Judd saying Greg Abbott is not harming Border Patrol operations, he's enhancing them. That makes me think that, Abbott is doing 100% the right thing. Let's go to Jeff in Hendersonville. You're next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, Happy New Year. Lovely, sunshiny day in Hendersonville. Hey, look, my point is, one, we're already in a civil war. If you're denying that, then you're lying to yourself.
It's like a cold civil war.
It's not, it definitely cultural. And, at the end of the day, look, it doesn't matter how extreme Greg Abbott or California or any other south bordering state gets on border enforcement. You have over 8 million illegals here. That's almost the population of Metro New York, which is the largest U.S. city. How are you going to mitigate that? How are you going to manage that? What are the ramifications? And at the end of the day, who cares? The horse is out of the barn. To me, how do we co-opt? The majority of these are good people that just want a better life. Their values more closely aligned with us conservatives. But there's 8 million of them. It doesn't matter what Greg Abbott does at this point.
Yeah, I think, and I agree that some of them are probably good people, but there's too many of them to assimilate at this point. And I'm more in line with what Trump said a couple times more recently at the town hall. We need to have a mass deportation effort.
Well, that's not going to play too well with the Hispanic demo, I don't think, overall. And then, the claims of racism, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, you look at, our other mass migrations earlier in the 19th century. We were just at our neighbor's house last Friday. They're Indian, Southern Indian, and they were talking about how they're coming here. They're working on so hard getting their immigration, everything legal, everything's done legally, their citizenship, and how it's a badge of honor in India to come to the United States. But you must first have a really good job where you can contribute to the country, and that's their mindset.
Yeah.
Versus this whole other welfare stuff. I mean, we can go down the rabbit hole.
I'll tell you this, Jeff. I agree that the optics of a mass deportation event wouldn't be the best. But this is one of the reasons. This is one of the reasons that I've been supporting Trump over any other candidate, because Trump is the only guy that's going to get in there and not be worried about re-election. He's going to do what needs to be done.
Good point.
And I feel like he's going to get in there and it's going to be optics be damned. I got 4 years to fix this country and I'm going to fix it.
Yeah, well, at any rate, it's a hell of a mess.
Yeah, you're darn right about that. Thanks for the call, Jeff. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, Trump at the town hall the other night said this.
We have millions and millions of people here. It is not sustainable. Did you see in New York City where they're getting the regular students out and they're putting migrants in their place? We are going to have the largest deportation effort in the history of our country. We're bringing everybody back to where they came from. We have no choice. We have no choice.
We have no choice, and he's the only guy that's going to get into the White House on the Republican side that isn't going to have an eye towards being reelected. And I think that's what makes this next Trump term so dangerous for the left. He is not going to be worried about their plans. Optics be damned. Senior Customs and Border Protection sources confirmed that Border Patrol is being blocked at 2 areas of Operation Eagle Pass, and said that agents pulled resources to avoid a confrontation. They're avoiding a confrontation. A senior official said it's of no operational or law enforcement benefit to try to block federal authorities from being able to do their job, adding that the tactic has no impact on migrant flow. And now that when Texas is done receiving them, they are still turned over at other locations, therefore adding an extra step to the process. I'd argue that this is a step in the right direction because those federal officials were lifting up razor wire with forklifts to let migrants cross under. How can you say that this isn't going to slow the flow when they literally were lifting up the razor wire to speed up the flow? This will slow the flow. 100%. Let's go to James in Wilson County. You're next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, James?
Hey, good morning, brother. I hope the new year's making you healthier and wealthier.
Hey,
yeah,
thanks,
I just wanted to call in and just say at some point, and I understand everybody's compassionate and wants the virtue signal, or whether genuinely or not, but at some point we need to start prioritizing our people. We need to take care of our neighbors, our families inside our homes, the people in our church, the peoples in our community. We're putting Americans on the back burner and prioritizing illegal immigrants that are being handed to our Border Patrol from the cartel operatives, from their hands. The cartel operatives are handing illegal invaders over to our Border Patrol by handoff, and the Border Patrol is bringing them into the country.
Yep.
There's a word for that. It needs to stop. Santos, he just got kicked out of the Congress, Republican.
Yep.
For the first time ever, I seen somebody quote a number that I believe. He said there's over 50 million that have come in. I think it's closer to that. I hear a lot of numbers. You have people saying, Fox News will tell you 12 to 14 million. CNN will tell you 6 to 8 million. Your neighbor will tell you 15, 20 million. Look around. How many do you think have come in, and where are they, by the way?
Yeah.
Because you have people flocking blue states to red states. Do you think the blue states are going to lose their electoral power and their delegates? Absolutely not. They're going to put these people in these blue states and give them voting rights. This is your country. Your federal government's not going to do anything for you.
Well, and to your point about them giving them voting rights in blue states, they already have. They can vote in local elections in California, New York. I believe it's Vermont. There's several states. There's a New York rep. We played the audio the other day. She's like, I have room in my district. We need them just for redistricting. They're saying it out in the open. It's the great replacement.
It is, and it's completely unconstitutional. And like I said, the federal government's not going to step in and do the right thing. We, the people, have to pull in the reins and yank power back.
It's quite the opposite. The federal government has been stepping in to do the wrong thing, and I really appreciate your call, James. It's the federal government that's suing Arizona to remove the border wall that they made in Arizona with the shipping containers. It's the federal government that's suing Texas to remove the buoys in the water. It's the federal government that's lifting up the razor wire and cutting the razor wire in Eagle Pass. This is a reaction to the federal government's lack of action on the border. I like what Greg Abbott's doing. Listen, I see a ton of calls. Chris, Dave, our favorite Hebrews waiting on the line. Bonnie, Calvin, Rodney. We'll get to your calls next. It's Calvin 11? That's the senator.
That may be.
Me and Mac have been talking. We've really developed a squad of listeners that we truly
Seriously,
appreciate.
It's the best.
Like, we got Mac, we got Ken in the newsroom, but the most important person on this show is you. More of your calls next at 615-737-9986. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, if you haven't been down in your crawl space in a while, today is the perfect day because the rain is coming down. So poke your head down there and see if you notice standing water in your crawl space. If you do, you got to call my friends at USS, United Structural Systems. They've been doing this work in Middle Tennessee since 1994, encapsulating crawl space, helping with basement wall realignment, fixing sinkholes on properties, foundation repair. It's what these guys do. So if you're noticing standing water in your crawl space when you poke your head down there, if you see wet basement walls after all this rain, cracks in your basement floors, that's your house trying to tell you something. So give the guys at USS a call to tell you what it means. 615-488-7855. They have 25,000 satisfied customers in Middle Tennessee, and I'm confident you will be number 25,001. Call USS today, 615-488-7855, or online, USSTN.com.
Wind speed is picking up across Middle Tennessee, and the trouble it's causing, more than 1,500 power outages right now. Hunter Biden caving in the face of a potential contempt of Congress charge. These stories and more coming up at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. We're talking about Greg Abbott seizing a portion of the border from the federal government, basically, and putting Texas National Guard out there. Chris in Fort Campbell, you got a comment on this. You're next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, Chris?
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Good, man. How are you?
You hit on a few different things over the last 20 minutes, so let's go down one by one.
Let's go, Chris.
As for Texas, damn right. Get out the National Guard, block off the entire border, and don't let them cross.
Yeah.
If they're crossing a river, crossing a creek, crossing the street, don't let them cross. Let them stay on the other side. We don't have to accept them. That's part two. We reference our country as the United States of America. Well, that's just a play on words. Every state in the United States is actually its own country. They have legal right to do whatever the hell they want.
Yep.
They don't have to follow Washington, D.C., period. They're their own country.
The states give the power to the federal government, not the other way around.
Exactly. Take it back and tell them to pound sand. Three, as for the illegal immigrants that are already here, more power to them. If they want to have a better life, I would not hold it against them. But here's my suggestion. All of you, pack up your suitcase, go down DuPont Circle, head to the White House, and a show of force with all of you there and say, okay, let's process my paperwork. Give me a green card. Give me a work visa. Get the ball rolling. Don't wait for them to try to do something 5 years from now when their court case comes up.
Yeah, no, I hear you, Chris, and I appreciate your comment.
Whoever can come in, they can come in. The rest of them, go to the right and get on the bus and go back home until you can come in.
Yep.
Very simple.
I'm with you, man. I appreciate the call. We got more calls on the way. Dave, our favorite Hebrew, hang on. Bonnie, Calvin, Rodney, hang with us. We got your calls next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast coming up in 2 minutes. We're tracking the potential for severe weather here in Middle Tennessee. Already heavy rain and strong winds impacting electricity providers. NES says they have at least 1,300 outages. Duck River had just under 300. Alex Stone says it's worse in other major cities. This weather snarling airports.
Many of the nation's biggest airline hubs are getting blasted by weather today. It's snow in Chicago, thunderstorms in Atlanta, Houston, Denver, and Orlando, and high wind in Dallas. Those cities impact United, Delta, American, and Frontier Airlines. Add to that the grounded Boeing 737 MAX 9s, and there are already almost 2,000 flights canceled in the U.S. today, with thousands more delayed.
Yeah, right now in Middle Tennessee, the National Weather Service in Nashville says some of the peak wind gusts measured so far: Lebanon, 45 miles per hour, Clarksville, 43, Reedyville, 42, Columbia, 41, Nashville, 40 miles per hour. Breaking news in the influence peddling investigation of President Biden facing an impeachment inquiry. Hunter Biden now caving in the face of a contempt of Congress vote and the full House next week. Hunter Biden's lawyers say Hunter has agreed to sit for a deposition, saying he will accept what the lawyers call a proper subpoena now that impeachment inquiry is official. Election 2024, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis not letting a snowstorm stop him from speaking to voters at a campaign event today in Iowa.
I was shocked at how many people were willing to come, given how much snow's on the ground. But I'm going to use every minute I can to be able to win votes.
Yeah, the caucus is set for Monday. Meanwhile, a Suffolk University poll shows DeSantis has fallen behind Nikki Haley, who has 20% support among 500 likely caucus goers. Trump has 54. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris and we're talking about Greg Abbott taking over a portion of the border in Eagle Pass, sending Border Patrol out. They're saying the dramatic move marks the latest escalation in a feud between the state of Texas and the federal government over how to handle this crisis, which has left both Texas and sanctuary cities throughout the country overwhelmed. Abbott launched Operation Lone Star in 2021 to surge resources and law enforcement to the border. As part of that operation, he set up the Bowie border barrier in the Rio Grande, which sparked a lawsuit from the federal government. Separately, the Biden administration sued Texas over a recently signed anti-illegal immigration law that allows state and local law enforcement officials to arrest illegal immigrants, which the administration says interferes with the federal government's authority and frustrates the U.S. immigration operations and proceedings and hurts relations with foreign governments. So Texas has been trying to fix this, and they're not allowed to. They haven't had an opportunity to fix this because every time they try to, the federal government gets in the way of Texas because they want these illegals to come in and be voting for the Dems. That's what the plan is. But what do you think about these latest escalations from Greg Abbott? White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre last month said that she's not a fan of Greg Abbott's policies and political stunts. She says they're not safe. Not safe for Texas. What do you think? Dave, our favorite Hebrew, our Hebrew, as we like to call him, is next on Super Talk. What's up, Dave?
What's going on, guys? How y'all doing?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm pretty good. You know, I really think that obviously I agree with everybody else. I think Greg Abbott's doing the right thing. And, you know, to be honest, obviously the National Border Patrol Council thinks that Greg Abbott's doing the right thing.
Yep.
And I really think that if the rubber were to meet the road, and I, you know, like you, God forbid, like I wouldn't want to see this start to escalate. But if the rubber were to meet the road, I would be willing to bet that you would see Border Patrol agents tell their superiors to pound sand.
I think you're right.
And join with the National Guard. You sure as hell would see some of those people in Texas get their own weapons and stand with the Border Patrol and the National Guard.
Well,
and tell the federal government to pound sand.
And the Border Patrol, they've been thrown under the bus by the federal government before. I mean, it was Alejandro Mayorkas that said they were whipping Haitian migrants when that was just a blatant lie.
Absolutely. And you know, it's not so much I've been in the restaurant business basically my entire adult life. I've been in restaurants for 25 years. I've worked every restaurant from James Beard Award winning restaurants to mom and pop diners. And I have seen and worked with my fair share of Hispanics, and 99.9% of them are, you know, God-fearing, conservative, valued-minded people. They work, you know, 2 and 3 jobs. And, you know, that's not who I'm worried about. I don't know if anybody, you know, listens to Sean Ryan's podcast, but I do. And my concern is not so much migrants. My concern is the PLA and MSS agents from China, the Quds Force, Hezbollah-type people from Iran.
And we know that those people are sneaking through. I mean, there was an article that said we've had 16,000 illegals from China since October.
And if anybody doesn't think that those aren't PLA or MSS paramilitary operatives, our grid is so outdated. All it would take would be to coordinate attacks on a few power plants. And if you want to see chaos, watch what happens when the grid craps out.
100%. I couldn't agree with you more. And these guys that are sneaking across, they know that.
Yep.
They
it's absolutely freaking terrifying.
Yeah.
And in the end, the only thing that I tell my wife all the time, sometimes she rolls her eyes at me about this stuff. I'm like, I've started to buy books. Like, I don't have, I've got a lot of stuff on my Kindle. I don't think this is going to happen tomorrow, but I've got hard copy books.
Yep.
Like, I'm starting to read up on how to field dress animals, stuff like that.
Hey, if you don't physically hold it, you don't actually own it.
Exactly. And like every week I rotate the way that I buy ammunition. Every week I'll buy a box of ammo for my AR. Next week I buy shells for my shotgun. Next week I buy hollow points for my 9mm. And I rotate it every week.
Yeah.
We set food aside. We've got what I like to call the oblique kit.
Yep.
Because my wife's family lives right outside of Erie, Pennsylvania. Little small town, middle of nowhere, northwestern PA. And if God forbid it were to ever hit the fan, that's where we're trying to get to.
Yep, you got to have a bug out bag. I hear you, man. Thanks, Dave. I really appreciate your call. Appreciate you listening. And to Dave's point, I get it. There are you can't argue. There's people that are coming over because they want a better life. That's fair. But there are people coming over that are the same kind of cartel members that took over the news station in Ecuador and were firing upon police in the streets. Those people are coming over too. I happen to believe that you can't really distinguish one from the other, and that we need to deport everybody and start at zero, start fresh. I saw a video of a illegal alien coming across the border with what appeared to be children who were drugged, young children who were drugged. It's scary. It's sad. But these are the people that are coming across the border. Bonnie and Dixon, you're next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, Bonnie?
Hi, I just wanted to say I agree that Greg Abbott is doing a great job, and there are probably a lot more people that would be willing to take their weapons and go stand on that line than one would really want to admit to. But I wanted to say on immigration that we know people here that are on both sides of that debate, and people who have actually came here legally, and also people who have come illegally. And one of our friends is from Jordan. He's worked for 5 years.
Bonnie, I'm sorry, Bonnie. I'm having a hard time understanding what you're saying on the connection. If you want to give us a call back in a minute, I'd love to take your call, but we got a bunch of people waiting, and I just could not understand you with that connection. I'm sorry. Calvin in Lebanon, you're next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, Calvin?
Hey, Chris. I just want to say there's a saying that you don't mess with Texas.
Yep.
And you know what? You don't know how bad something stinks till you step in it, and Abbott just stepped in it. And I think it's about time someone's got the fortitude to step up to this government and to challenge them and to go at them head to head. Now, I don't know the ramifications. History ain't my thing about the Civil War, but I do know the ramifications from listening to this station and getting the proper facts that I can't get anywhere else. I know what the ramifications is of their policy of them coming over. And, hey, Adams in New York, how dare him say he's got a problem? Go to Texas. These people have been dealing with this for years. But Abbott is setting the grounds for what can be done for future governors of Texas, Arizona, anywhere that there's a problem like this. And I'm 110% behind him. And I'll tell you something else. He's setting himself up for a great run as far as I'm concerned in 2028, because I know where he's at on this border problem. I know what they're going to do if they get back in, which is open that border back up. He is the guy to test the waters, and he needs all of us to stand behind him.
Hey,
so you go, Abbott.
I'm with you, Calvin. Thanks so much for the call. I appreciate you. That was the great senator from the state of Louisiana, Calvin from Lebanon. Oh, he really does sound like Senator Kennedy.
It's uncanny.
Like it's, I want to talk to him and like maybe get him to call in as like spoof Senator Kennedy. Sometimes.
Yes.
That'd be fun.
Make it a bit.
Yeah. Rodney, you're Mount Juliet. You're next. You've been holding for a minute, man. Thanks for holding, Rodney. You're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Yes. I'll take it a bit. Yeah. Rodney, Mount Juliet, you're next. Been holding for a minute.
Rodney, turn down your radio, bro. I know you've been on hold for a minute. I'm sorry, man.
Yes. I'll take it a bit.
All right, I'm putting Rodney back on hold. Sorry, Rodney.
Turn down the radio, Rodney.
Turn down.
We're ready for you.
Bonnie's back. Do you have a better connection this time, Bonnie? What's up?
Yes, I took myself off the speakerphone.
Thank you, Bonnie. Sorry, what were you saying?
You're welcome. Thanks for having me back. I was just going to say that we do know people who have come here illegally, and we've also met people who have come here legally. And the one gentleman that we've met, he has been here for 5 years. He's from Jordan. Very nice man, working to get his family here. And we had illegal people who told him, just get them to the Mexican border and they can get them across. And he refused to do that. He said, no, I want to be an American. I want my family to come here legally. We don't want to look over our shoulders. We're looking for a better life, and we want to do the right thing.
Amen.
And he was just able to get his family here just this last month, right after Christmas.
I love that.
And it was wonderful, and I'm proud of him for wanting to do it the right way. And that's what I wanted to say is we do know people who have come the right way and who have been American citizens in their hearts and in their souls, and they want their families to come here, and they feel like that it's a slap in their face that the government is allowing people to just illegally cross that border. They feel like if they really wanted to be an American citizen, then they would do the right thing and come the proper way and show that that's really what they want. So I feel like, that that's true and that there's always been a pathway. It may not always been the easiest, but life is not easy. And what you want is worth working for. And for people to just blatantly walk across that border, to me, is just insane.
Yeah.
I applaud Governor Abbott.
Me
and I think that our government needs a total reform. I'm all about Donald Trump. I love him. I think he's done great for the American people. But I also feel like our government on both sides throughout, top to bottom, needs completely redone.
Yeah.
I don't think that they're working for our benefit. And if people would just stop paying their taxes for a little while, I bet that something would get noticed.
I love it.
That's my comment.
Bonnie closes the call with commit tax fraud. Thanks, Bonnie.
Hey, why not? Why not?
I appreciate you, Bonnie.
Hunter's
Thanks so
getting
much.
away with it. Hunter got away with it.
She said Hunter's getting away with it. Bonnie, you're...
And you know what? Honestly, they can't put us all in jail.
Amen, Bonnie. There's not enough
The
prisons.
power in numbers, baby.
I love it. Thanks for calling back, Bonnie. That was worth it.
So worth it. So glad she did that.
Bonnie said commit tax fraud. Hunter's getting away with it. There's a story happening in Houston that I think you need to be aware of, and I warn you that it is graphic. It's graphic. It's honestly, it's horrifying. But I think this story needs to be one of the biggest stories in the country. And I don't think enough people are talking about this. 7 Texas men. They say Texas men. Only one of the men has been arrested. Arthur Hector Fernandez. I'll tell you what this monster did after the break. Hang out with us. It's 11:20 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Severe weather outlook, flight cancellations, medical experts on high alert. All this and more coming up at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. My name is Chris Hand. I told you I was going to tell you about a story, but before I do that, I just want to say everybody on the Super Text line is commenting on Bonnie, saying that she's a savage and based. Bonnie was the one who ended that call. Sweet, really sweet call.
So sweet.
She seems like an awesome lady by saying commit tax fraud.
Based Bonnie.
Based. We're a pro tax fraud show. I can assure you of that. So funny. I wanted to get that out of the way because the next story is a little bit serious. Not a lot serious, actually. There's a horrifying story coming out of Houston, Texas, that I think everybody needs to be aware of. Because the guys that did this are absolute monsters. I want to get your reactions on it, and I want to take your calls on it. But first, I want to play exactly how they reported it in Houston.
Toddlers were allegedly sexually assaulted in a bathroom at the Galleria by multiple men. One of the men was a mall employee. Fox 26's Natalie He is joining us now live from the Galleria with the disturbing details. Natalie.
Well, Anthony, court documents reveal that there were up to 7 men involved in the sex assault. It apparently happened at one of the public bathrooms here at the Galleria Mall. And tonight, one local organization has an important message for parents.
The FBI has arrested Arthur Hector Fernandez III and charged the 29-year-old with sexual exploitation of children. Fernandez is pictured here on his private Instagram with the username Allegedly Hector. His account was named in court documents that detailed the disturbing allegations that he and at least 6 other unidentified men sexually assaulted and raped a toddler at what appeared to be a Galleria Mall bathroom. Court documents say last month the Australian Centre to Counter Child Exploitation reported 4 explicit videos found on the dark web to the FBI in which at least 2 toddlers ages 2 and 3 were filmed being sexually and verbally assaulted by multiple men at once. Relatives of the toddlers told investigators Fernandez was a friend and fellow Galleria employee who offered to watch the kids while they were at work at the mall.
So toddlers are raped at a mall in Houston by 7 men. And this is not the biggest story in the country. They said horrifying videos surfaced after a gang of at least 7 men were sexually abusing toddlers inside of a restroom of a Texas mall. Now, only one of the men has been arrested. There are 6 others still at large. The man arrested was Arthur Hector Fernandez. This guy is an absolute monster. Apparently, 2 friends of Fernandez would leave their children, 2-year-olds, in his care while they worked at the mall. The FBI launched a probe last month after these videos were surfacing online. Allegedly, there were 4 videos shared with authorities that reportedly show different assaults that take place in different rooms and locations, including bathrooms at this mall. Fernandez is the only suspect charged in this case so far. It is unclear if the others said to appear in the video have been identified by officials. Now, what worries me is if the others are illegal aliens, are they going to be identified by officials? It happened in Houston. We know that there's large compounds, large real estate builds for illegal aliens. We know what's going on in Texas. The authorities have known about this for a month now, and they've made 1 arrest. 1 arrest. These poor children. Responding to the case, FBI agent Torrance White warned parents that predators are often someone they know. He told the local news there that these perpetrators of these crimes are family members, teachers, and members of the community. Oftentimes, folks are looking for the monster in the white van, but it's often the person you know. I will say this about Fernandez. In his Instagram profile, he had 2 rainbow flags, and his profile picture looked flamboyant. It seems like that sometimes is a cover for pedophilia. And I'm just shocked that the FBI hasn't been able to find the 6 other men. With all the technology that we have, they couldn't search this individual's phone and find the 6 other men.
It's got to be cameras all over that mall.
That's what I'm saying. And then facial recognition technology. So why isn't this the biggest story in the country? My head says that the other 6 or some of the other 6 are illegal aliens. My gut tells me that the FBI got this one guy and they don't want to get the others. Because I can't imagine in this day and age with the technology we have that these other individuals weren't easily identifiable. Animals, monsters, wood chipper. I think that this story, as graphic as it is, needs to be shared, and it needs to be at the tip of everyone's tongue and the headline on the nation's news tonight, because we're not protecting the kids in this country at all, and it needs to change. It's 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 2 minutes. Breaking news in the influence peddling investigation of President Biden. Hunter Biden is caving in the face of a contempt of Congress vote on the full House floor next week, saying he's now ready to sit for a deposition now that the impeachment inquiry of his father is official. The Justice Department plans to seek the death penalty for the white gunman who killed 10 people and injured 3 others in that racist shooting at a Buffalo grocery store in 2022. Nasty weather and nasty respiratory illnesses. Here's Morgan Norwood.
38 states are reporting very high or high levels of respiratory illness, and we really see it in the South. That's where it's most severe. And of course, these spikes can strain emergency rooms. And so let's talk about what's sending the most people to the ER right now. That's going to be flu and COVID-19. Flu hospitalizations up 35%, and the CDC believes flu infections will continue to grow.
Now, according to the CDC, Tennessee among the states that have contracted the most flu-type illnesses. And that's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We're talking about this story in Houston where 7 men are alleged to have raped 2 toddlers in a bathroom in a mall. Reading your response on the Super Text line, it's amazing how much everybody's kind of on the same wavelength on this. You know, the FBI arrested one of the individuals. 6 others remain at large. And I'm seeing so many people on the Super Text line saying, well, they didn't have any trouble finding people at January 6th, the FBI. If they were wearing red hats, they wouldn't have had an issue finding them. Yet at this point, 6 individuals that were involved in raping toddlers and posting the footage on the internet in Houston remain at large. What should be done to these individuals? 615-737-9986. Chris in Franklin has a comment on the Houston story. You're next on Super Talk. What's up, Chris?
Hey, yeah, I just have a few quick points to make. First of all, this story makes my blood boil, and I think people like this should be sentenced to death without a doubt. But a few things, if you'll notice in that story, if I heard it right, Australia brought this to the FBI.
Yep.
And so, our own, Department of Justice, our own system is not discovering these people. They're found by a totally different country. It amazes me how they claim they can't find these people, they can't find the missing people, they can't find the people that have trafficked people, but yet January 6th they can look at a side profile of someone and find them.
Yeah.
And it just seems like it's so intentional. And then the third thing I want to say about this is, they don't seem to have, they make going after, conservatives or Republicans a priority, but going after all these people that are pedophiles, groomers that are, attempting to traffic children is not the priority, obviously, for them. So, otherwise, why couldn't you use the same technology to track these people down? And, and I have to question if the parents, how they couldn't have possibly known something like that had happened. If you think about a 2 or 3 year old, they are potty training. Most of them either are still in diapers or are potty training. These men, I imagine, would have had to do a lot of damage. Sadly, I hope they pay. I hope there's justice for the damage that they've potentially done, not just mentally, but also physically, to the child's reproductive system.
Yeah.
And so how could that not be noticeable? I'm sorry. I don't think I'm buying that story.
No.
That's being laid down there.
I hear what you're saying, and the damage would be done, and then it would be noticeable. You're absolutely right. So was the parent complicit in this? I think that's a reasonable question to ask, but it doesn't seem like we're getting a reasonable investigation because, like you said,
no, there's no.
You can get somebody from J6 on a side profile, but you can't track down these other 6 men. They weren't even looking for this, like you said in that report. It was Australia that brought the case to them. Why aren't we focusing on the real crimes in this country?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's disturbing beyond what I can comprehend anymore.
You and me
it
both.
Just continues over and over. These stories just keep happening over and over and over again. And I, for one, am one death penalty for people that are going to rape children and babies.
Yes.
I just think
death penalty and castration, like immediately.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's been proven that they can't be rehabilitated. So.
And it's also been proven that people that assault children, they essentially turn those children into that same kind of person when they grow up.
Exactly.
Yeah, it needs to end. And it doesn't seem like there's any serious investigation going on, which is why I wanted to bring this up and cause a ruckus on the air to make people aware of what's happening in our own country.
I just keep praying for, justice in this country because we're I don't know. It's just so corrupt.
I know.
So corrupt.
I'm with you, Chris. Thanks for the call. I appreciate it. Jeff in Clarksville, you're next on the Houston story. Jeff, you're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning or afternoon. Yeah, I think what they ought to do for all pedophiles, child rapists, is they ought to stick them in a prison, tell everybody in the prison what they did, and let them stay there for a couple of days, and then show the pictures afterwards. You stop.
Isn't it though sad though that in this country we have more we have more confidence that prisoners will handle the people that commit these crimes better than our own justice system?
It is sad. I mean, Elaine Maxwell got convicted of child trafficking, but yet we do not know who the clients were. I mean, and she's sitting in jail because of child trafficking, but yet we don't know who she trafficked.
Well, and then whenever they say underage prostitutes, it's like no, that's a child sex victim. That's not there's no such thing as an underage prostitute in that story. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, and I have to agree with that woman. If I don't know anything about this story, but if they're 3-5 years old, there is no way I would let my daughter or son go into a bathroom by themselves.
No,
Wouldn't happen.
so the story was that it was a friend of the mother, and that she was working, and the friend offered to walk the kids around the mall during her shift, and that's when the assault happened in a bathroom. But I have young children. There's no way that you wouldn't notice something was going on.
No, I mean, I have 2, and I have 4 grandchildren, and they would never go into a bathroom by themselves. Even at, I mean, I worry about. I sit out front even when they're 13.
Yep.
Which one of them is?
You and me both. I have a 10-year-old, and it's like, you're not going to the bathroom alone. I'll be outside. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm out. Yep.
I'm right outside the door.
Walk in.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think both of them, the mother and that woman, need to be really looked at hard.
No, I'm with you, Jeff, and I appreciate it. Thanks for the call. Keith in Franklin. Oh, we just lost Keith. Let's go to Rodney in Mount Juliet on the Houston story. Rodney, you're next on Super Talk.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Good. I got 2 points since I heard that last caller about the Australian and Houston thing.
Yep.
I got cut off for the border, but my border one is all these people that are protesting, the Democrat side with all this other craziness that they're doing. What my comment would be is, why don't the people who come here legally be out there protesting the people that are trying to cross over here illegally?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what I would like to see. The people who have come here and did all the proper procedures to protest them, be at the border, and tell them go home until you can do it right.
Yeah, I hear you.
And then the with the sex thing, that's pretty questionable how they can't find the other 5 people or who are the other people that are involved, but they only can find one with the technology that we have. That's
there should be no excuse why these people haven't been brought to justice.
Yeah,
and that's why my mind goes to they don't want to bring them to justice, and then why are these other individuals illegal aliens? Are they worried? Are they worried about the public backlash if this comes out?
Exactly.
That's all speculation, but I have a hard time figuring out why on earth they haven't been caught if that's the case.
Right. Well, the Democrats, they should change. Well, the letter D should be turned to instead of Democrat, it should be diplomatic immunity, because they're not getting any. They're not being prosecuted for nothing.
No, I'm with you, Rodney. Thanks for the call. We're gonna
thank you.
We're gonna go to line 5, who is going to remain anonymous. You're next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, Anon?
Well, it's been a long time.
Oh, we lost you. You there? No, okay. Anon, try and get a better signal, and we'll get you back on. We definitely want to talk to you and hear your story. This story is shocking. What happened in Houston? Just to recap, there are videos online of 7 Texas men filming themselves gang raping 2 toddlers in a bathroom of Houston Galleria Mall, where the ringleader of that group worked. The child's parents the mother allegedly worked at the mall, was friends with him. He offered to watch these kids while the mother worked. And it was during that time, allegedly, that these toddlers were sexually abused inside of the restroom. They were filmed. The videos were posted online. Let's go to line 5, Anonymous. Hey, Anon, you're back on. What's going on?
Yes, I just wanted to make a comment. You know, this happened to me back when I was a kid in my 60s. And, 29. Sorry about that. I'm trying to make a living here. But this happened to me back in the 60s when I was a kid. And once I grew up there, I went and found this uncle of mine right there, and I beat the living fire out of him and made sure that he remembered me. But I just got one other comment to say right there, is that until it touches you, nobody cares. And then after that, nobody cares. I mean, if people do not stand together, that's the problem we got right now in America. Nobody stands together no more like it used to be. So that's, nobody stands together no more.
Well, and it's like one of those things where it's an uncomfortable story, so people don't even want to talk about it. People don't even want to. People want to pretend that this stuff doesn't exist. This should be.
Oh, it exists, trust me.
This should be the biggest story in the country. This man's face should be everywhere. There should be an APB out for the remaining 6 individuals, but we hear nothing. Anon, I'm sorry for what happened to you, man. I know I can't imagine what you went through, and I want to thank you for calling and sharing that with us.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it. Let's go to Hannah in Franklin. She's next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN with your comment on this Houston story. What's up, Hannah?
Well, the one thing I wanted to say to that caller before that, the people who have come here legally are working and they have jobs, and they're not going to risk their job to invest any time in the people who are wasting our country's money. They are upstanding citizens. Why doesn't he go and protest? It's the same kind of thing. They don't have time to go protest. They're doing the right thing. Does that make sense?
Yep, I hear you.
I just wanted to respond to that. The other thing I wanted to say, I adopted children who had been mistreated.
Yes, ma'am.
Sexually, physically, and you're right. Then it becomes, everybody's looking at the mother, everybody's looking at the adoptive mother, the adoptive father, and it's horrifying to get in that situation. You're doing everything you can, and that man is correct when he says it's very hard for healing to come. That is someone coming inside, and did they say if it was little boys they raped or little girls?
It was a boy and a girl.
Oh, see, that's horrible. Just think of that, coming inside someone else's body. That's atrocious. It's unspeakable. So I hope someone does something. But to me, it says a lot that our country pretended to not even notice.
That's what bothers me the most is like this was reported on a local news channel in Houston. I have not seen it anywhere else. And this should be the biggest story in the country. That we as Americans should be horrified until these other 6 individuals are brought to justice.
Yes, sir. And I just saw the other night, it was a congressman speaking sort of in a small private group, and he asked, there are 20,000 missing children who have come over the border.
Yeah.
In an area that he's in. 20,000 children. Where are they? That's a lot.
You're right, Hannah. This is not an isolated incident. This is just the one we're hearing about now. And I appreciate your call. Let's go to Junior in Woodbury real quick. You're next on the Houston story. Junior, you're on Super Talk. What's up, man?
Yeah, that's a damn pitiful shame. And I'll tell you how they could cure a lot of this.
Yes, sir.
Well, bring back in Abraham Lincoln days. Get a big oak tree and hang them on the square somewhere and let them hang. And somebody tries to cut them down, just start shooting.
You know, I don't with this kind of a crime against children, I'm all for public executions. Thanks, Junior. I appreciate your call, man. We could probably take calls on this all day. I do have to hit the break. It's 11:50. If your friends haven't heard of this story, if you haven't shared this on social media, I know it's graphic, but please share this with everyone. Make this the biggest story in the country until these other 6 individuals are brought to justice. If they are brought to justice, we'll have updates for you right here on the Chris Hand Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Matt Murphy joining us now. He was just showing off his T-shirt to everyone and anybody that would look. If you're watching us on Super Talk TV, maybe you can see the T-shirt.
It's Leho Fuchs. Let's see if any of the super texters get the reference.
Our super texters are smarter than a lot of
It's
people.
a Leho Fuchs, Soho, London. Leho Fuchs Chinese restaurant, Soho, London. What's the reference?
Yeah,
we'll wait.
Our super texters are some of the smartest people
on planet Earth
that I know. Yeah,
absolutely.
I say it all the time. I've learned more from our listeners than they have learned from me. Easily.
Yeah, that's about right.
It's fair, right?
I don't know what I'm doing. I'm in a weird mood. I woke up this morning dizzy. I think it's the barometric pressure, whatever. I hope.
Sure.
Or could be a brain tumor. I don't know, but I'm hoping it's the barometric pressure.
That's one of those things you don't go to get checked out. You just hope it clears up on its own.
It'll work itself out.
Jeez.
So, did you talk to Dan about his photo with the motorcycle and all of that?
Yeah. I actually, when I saw you post it, my first inclination was, I'm up late. My first inclination was, I feel like I should text Murphy to tell him to take this down.
So, I thought it was hilarious because I understood the full scope of the story. It was only till I got up this morning. Yeah, they got it.
We got like 20 people saying, Werewolves of London.
Werewolves of London. Warren Zevon. So, I saw Amy Mandis. Apparently, there's something on Facebook. These little games and whatever. And there's something on Facebook where it will put your face in photos. And Amy Mandis, Dan's wife, did this. And I saw where it had accidentally, instead of putting her face on there, put Dan's face on there. And she thought it was funny. And she posted it on her Facebook page. So I lifted it from the Facebook page and put it on my Twitter page without referencing Amy. I just said, I don't know what to do with this. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this. And in my mind, the connection was there. So I get up this morning, and obviously I'm not up at 5:30, so I didn't hear Dan's reaction to it. But I get up this morning, and I go online, and I'm doing my thing, and I realize I don't think there's a connective tissue here. So people just think that I randomly posted a photo of Dan as a woman on a motorcycle.
And that's what happened with me.
That's exactly what I thought.
I don't do the Facebook, so I don't do the Facebook, so I had no connective tissue.
So, but I've been there where, the wife shares information or shares things that I don't necessarily think's going to play well with, some of the troll listeners that we, from time to time, see pop their little heads up.
Yes.
I realized that maybe that was unfair to Dan. But you know what? It is. Moving on.
He's already working with several graphic designers to come up with something for you.
Bring it, baby. I am ready to go.
What do you got coming up on the show today? You got a packed show? You got some fun?
Oh, I want to talk about this. So did you see the text that I sent you and Maury? No response to it?
Oh, I did see this. Yes.
So I'm listening to you guys this morning talking about that. I become a 12-year-old when it snows. I'm on record for this. I am a 12-year-old. Anytime there's a mention of snow, I become a kid again. Yeah. I absolutely love it and adore it. And about 5 or 6 years ago, there was one of these events happening in Birmingham, and I was becoming a kid. Oh, it's going to snow. And E says to me, why do you get so excited when it snows?
Because it's magical.
It is magical, but she's like, you're just stuck at work for 3 days.
Yeah, literally.
And I'm like, oh, yeah. And so I sent Chris Hand a text that said, he's talking about, man, there's this hill in Murfreesboro, and man, it's going to be so cool. I'm like, hey, newbie, you're going to be shacked up in the best Westerns where you.
Joke's on you. I already have Monday off.
Do you now? You got Monday off? You celebrating the MLK? You walking in the parade?
Yeah, I am. I'm marching. No, family thing, and gotta watch the kids.
Mm-hmm. Have you talked to Dan?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He might be calling you.
No,
he might be calling you in.
Pamela Furr is filling in for me on Monday.
You don't feel compelled?
She's going to be opening the show, singing to Mac Maury.
What happens
Wiener is good.
What?
Is that one?
What?
It's been a minute. I thought I'd bring that back.
That's worse than what I threw down yesterday on the cross. And maybe related. I don't know. We got Cameron Smith coming up. Cameron, we like to do, they call him Cameron Romney. We like to do a little establishment Republican talk with Cameron Smith.
Never heard of him.
No, he's coming up at, because we couldn't get him on Wednesday. Jay St. Clair, it's Friday, and Friday Mac Attack. And I don't have a draft subject yet, but I'm sure we'll get one at some point.
Oh yeah, it'll happen.
What's the draft happening today, Mac?
2:30 or 2 o'clock is the draft. What the draft topic is?
The draft is
TBA.
Yes.
TBA. Hang out with us. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.